Okay, that's good. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. Maybe it's something with. Maybe it's something with my streaming software. I am retarded. Okay, it says I'm live. Could be wrong though. Nope, we're good. Okay. Streaming software is just retarded. But that's okay. I don't care about it anyway. What up? Good evening, fellow virgins. I disconnected because I thought it was fucking buffering, but I guess my streaming software just be retarded. So maybe it's like three people that ask the meme. Most people ask, you know, Fed, how do I get into self-hosting? Are you a technical person? Are you smart? Do you have big brain? And the answer is no. So my journey into self-hosting and Linux stems from a major league of curiosity. And that curiosity came from the hatred of Windows by accident. I didn't know anything about proprietary software. I didn't know anything about a computer. I was pretty retarded in general to technology for quite a long time. And my curiosity came from the fact that I obtained a server in a very specific way. I essentially went to the street corner and exposed my pussy, and I was like, "Who wants to have sex with me for a Dell server?" And they're like, "Me." Just kidding. So essentially, I had a laptop. I installed through a long, very frustrating period of time. I installed Ubuntu, unfortunately, on it. It was better than Windows at the time, even with 4 gigs of RAM, which sounds crazy. And this was the last amount of money I had, and I needed a laptop for a specific reason. So I was pissed that Windows didn't work, and I decided to install Ubuntu, and it worked. And it was fast, and it was based, and it was like super cool. Ubuntu actually, unironically, led me to finding out what self-hosting is. Self-hosting came from another stem of major curiosity, and this curiosity came out of, oh wow, what can I do to increase my privacy? Because I was down the Linux rabbit hole of Linux is more private. These online services are essentially tracking you. How do you achieve a high level of privacy? I kind of got into like the Linux phone at the same time, where it essentially the Linux phone as well, like the Pine phone and Calyx OS, all kind of correlated to like a later date. But it all started with just what's going on, brother? Good morning, Guten Tag for my Germans and whatever the fuck the French say. All this came from a level of curiosity, and I am not a technical person. I've never had a technical role. I just am a curious person. I installed Proxmox on this Dell server that I obtained through whoring myself out, which was pretty based. And I first installed Proxmox in a normal fashion. I still have this server, actually, which is kind of funny. It just sits there. And I actually tried to obtain this server in another server that was like it in a different way, and it just didn't end up working, but whatever. after I got this server, I installed a bunch of hard drives. I have only used Proxmox and then XPNG one time because of Lawrence Systems. Because once you start going down the like the Linux rabbit hole and self-hosting, you will come across a Lawrence Systems, like Lawrence Technology. Tom Lawrence, he actually has a great channel. I've been watching him for a very, very, very long time, and you eventually will come across it if you do any form of self-hosting or Proxmox ish, because he's a XPNG fan or something like that, whatever that uses. I used that once and I hated it. I don't know why the fuck he's a fan, to be honest. I'm gonna be real. XPNG server. I think that's what it is. XCPNG. That's what it is. Yes, I fucking hate this shit. I don't understand why he likes it. I did not have a good time. I did not like the web UI, live migration. I don't know. I've never had to use that. I believe this is heavier too. I was just not a fan. So I know Proxmox looks outdated, and normally I would agree. I'd be like, wow, outdated software looks like shit. Hate this. I hate it here. So I first started off with one node, running all my services like Jellyfin. At the time, I was running Jellyfin, I believe Vault Warden at some point, or Bitwarden before Vault Warden was even a thing. I think, yeah, it was like that. It was like two very specific things, like Jellyfin, pretty much just a pirate shit, and I didn't want to put everything on my phone. I read a lot of documentation. I learned a lot about Docker, and Docker essentially, I went down like the Docker rabbit hole, and then after using Docker, I started using Portainer, because I found out you could do Portainer in Proxmox. Like, I went from running bare metal Ubuntu server to Proxmox, essentially in actual order, because it's kind of like it's kind of fuzzy, but because it was a long time ago. I went from bare metal Ubuntu server to Proxmox, and then Proxmox to realizing I can run everything in Proxmox because it's a hypervisor. I don't even really remember Streamio still the GOAT, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of better options out there. Restream is just fucking convenient. So I ended up going to Proxmox. I've been using Proxmox for a very long time. I don't even know what version I started on, but I can tell you it's been a long time. I've learned a ton in the process of this, and this is like kind of like gonna be like my home lab setup and like my journey in a sense for people that are very technically afraid of touching technology. I'm going to maybe do some cubes. Cubes is a little bit more difficult to show because I have to have a whole setup to get it to work so you guys can see the stream. But like maybe in like a week or so, I'll do a video on how to set up cubes, not Cubes OS directly because it's kind of boring and it's been done before, but how to set up like the most important types of cubes, like how to do a password manager, like something like KeePassXC, and how to make it in the most secure environment that you can achieve in Cubes OS. Maybe how to do split PGP. It's kind of interesting. I'll do like a poll on it at some point to see what people would get, what they should do. How to configure cubes to be, I guess, more secure, but that's kind of like its own rabbit hole. It doesn't really exist. It doesn't not exist. There are things you can do, but because cubes is already isolated and everything's already isolated, you're kind of like, you have to really think about the tweaking of it to make it actually worth your time to get back. Cubes content? Yeah, I'll do some Cubes content. Cubes is just a little bit difficult because I have to capture it through another, like through my main PC. It's just, I'm lazy. And it's more of a setup. But I will do some more Cubes content. I do like Cubes OS. I like talking about it. I think people, like, I still think Linux Mint is good for beginners as well. I don't think there is a beginner distro. I think this is like my general opinion about it. I think Linux in its current form, you can almost install any Linux with Calamares, and like it's like the installer. So I don't think the argument. It's not like when I started on Linux, the install script shit was barely a thing. The way like Linux was being installed, you had to do a lot, and honestly, it's not necessarily. I don't think Linux is difficult to install anymore. Even with Gen 2, yes, it was. I had to learn a lot. I had other people in the community help me. I had to go back and watch a bunch of videos and read manual pages and go through the documentation. But once Gen 2 set up, you're kind of like straight. And then if you run into issues, I mean, most people are like generally good at like being like, hey, this is the answer you're looking for, versus arguing in a Slack it wouldn't, arguing in a fucking exchange overflow or whatever, Stack Overflow. So you kind of don't necessarily have to achieve proficiency. Now, AI has made it a lot simpler, and there are things you can ask it. Like, there was something wrong with my system. Instead of me going through a bunch of forums, I was like, what's wrong here? How can this be fixed? And then I just go do it myself. And there's some agents out there that could help you fix something that you normally wouldn't want to fucking do, and you don't want to type like a million commands. It's fine. I mean, I like Void Linux. It has a pretty easy guided install. Gen 2 is guided via the man pages, like the documentation of the whole fucking book. And it's also kind of like it's kind of like its own unique thing. Like, you can not install what you don't want. Like, that's the good thing about Gen 2. And that's like the good thing about most Linux distributions. You can do that too. I would say that I've actually had better experience on rolling release Linux distributions than LTS. I've never used Mint. It didn't appeal to me. I've used the most mainstream Linux distributions that I've used where it was Debian or Ubuntu based, which is its own fucking problem. Guys, it's Debian, but like we put tiling managers on the side. And like just something gay. And I would say that like my after Ubuntu I went to a crazy distro. Like I like there was something about I distro hopped for like 30 days or something. Like straight. Like just every other day I was looking for a new Linux distribution. I was just like, wow, you can install it whatever you want? Wow, you can just install. I kept rotating Linux distros that it was insane. Like it was kind of schizophrenic. I went from Linux, Ubuntu. I went from Ubuntu to fucking Element, and Element to Solus at one point. Solus. When did Solus come out? I used Ubuntu for a long time too. Yeah, it's been out for 10 years. Wow. Yeah, sounds about right. So I used Solus. I love their package manager, by the way. It's my favorite. It's such a goofy. It's not actually my favorite, but it's one of my favorites. It's such a goofy thing the way it's done. This is an LTS too. This is based on LFS. This is an LFS Linux distro. I used this one. I like this. I like Budgie. It's my favorite desktop environment, actually. It's very enjoyable. I don't know why I never went back to it, but I've always had fond memories of Budgie. It's just cool. I liked it. And then after this, I used Nomad BSD. I went to in the BSD realm and I used Nomad BSD Element Zorin. I gave the Zorin team like $1 or something or whatever. They're like, pay what you think is fair. Zorin OS. I've used OpenSUSE. I actually used OpenSUSE's hypervisor at one point. They made called Rancher, which was kind of cool. I did the Hacker Linux distributions. Jesus fuck. I was like, I'm going to use Kali Linux and become a hacker, which was really gay, actually. And after that, I landed in the very weird realms of like obscured. I used Hannah Montana OS, Satanic Linux, North Koreans Linux. I went down like this was all like within like 30 to like 40 days or something. I was just installing shit all the time. What else did I use? Oh, I used this one weird one. I can't remember. There was a weird one I used from like, it was like, I think Buddha Linux or something. I went down like a weird thing where like I was doing different flavors of Ubuntu. They're like, guys, it's like Ubuntu, but there's no satanic systemd in there. Let me get some more water. So I went from doing all these Linux distro hopping, and I ended up on Arch, and I was on Arch for a very long time. Well, no, I did Pop! OS and had a bad experience. I had a bad experience with Pop! OS. My first experience in Linux rolling release was Arch. I used Arch, and the only Fedora distro I used like for quite a while, for like about like maybe like a week. I would say that's the longest. Was Bazite. And I didn't like it. But I used Arch for quite a long time. Like, I was really on Arch Linux. I was like, bleeding edge, this is amazing. And then snapshots fucked up. Another snapshot. Something happened. And I fucking hate Btrfs after this. I had 2 bad Btrfs experiences. And I ended up going over and finding Void Linux. And then when I found Void Linux, I was like, I'm never leaving this. I love this. I love it here. I love Void Linux. I love it here. The meme. And this all comes from a purpose. There's a purpose behind this, me ranting. Technicality needs to come from curiosity. When you're a curious person, you can become technically more advanced than you like to lead yourself. It's not you know how to get to the thing. It's you know the steps are needed to obtain the thing. And it might not make sense now, but it makes sense later. Like a lot of the times when I'm just like boomers especially, they like to go out of their way and be like, these kids can sit on iPads and just blaze through them. Just use the search bar, dog. I use the search bar for everything. It's literally the best thing you could have. It finds everything. I still use it. I like, there are things where it's just more efficient. I'm like, oh, I need to think of where that is. Search bar. What am I doing? And just Google it. I mean, or Brave it, or Searex it, or Balls it, or whatever. Oh, that was another thing I first started running. Searex too. I ran Searex for the first. That was like I was like, oh my god, I have my own search engine. I'm so cool. I'm so based. And then in amidst the chaos of me switching Linux distros like fucking like a crackhead. RIP my fucking the hard drive on that laptop. I just kept installing shit. But never Windows. Never went back to that pile of shit. So, Proxmox, once I got in there, I wanted to go schizophrenic, I guess. Now I went from running just one Proxmox server, baby shit. Now I have it in I have it in high availability mode. And now I run a ton of services. That I went from, and I mean quite literally, I went from I'm only going to host Jellyfin to now I have my dashboard, I have image, I have bento PDF, which by the way, this saved me one time. I needed to make something in a PDF PDF format that was very important. And someone's like, just use Adobe. And I was like, I don't have fucking Adobe, I'm good. And I was like, oh wait, I have bento PDF, so I just VPN'd into my network and used it. It's great. I use Hermes agents for a couple things. I forget what the fuck this is. I think it's just taking up resources. I think I'm going to eventually ask myself what the fuck this is and probably delete it, hopefully. What is this? There's a reason for that. I think, or I can delete it. No, yep, there's a reason for that. I can't remember what it is, but it's something. There's my media stack. Entei. I run Entei actually because Image doesn't support encrypted at rest, I think, and that's kind of, I don't like that. So I use Entei. It's self-hostable. It's kind of cool. They have something called Locker. This is Forgio. This is where I take all my GitHub repos and I put them here just in case GitHub goes down again. This is a Windows server. I'm glad that shit's turned off. And this is a Windows client. Sometimes I like to fuck around with Active Directory and just look at it. This is how you can learn networking, and you can learn how Active Directory works and Windows works if you don't want to actually go out and get a fucking Windows machine. You can just virtualize it. This is why I like Proxmox. You can virtualize almost everything in Proxmox. It is such a beautiful thing. I believe GPU pastors should be able. I think it's getting what's his name? Craft Computing has a whole thing on how to get it working and how to create a super virtual how to take a video game of a PC and split it between 10 friends. Cloud gaming at home. Mom, can we have cloud gaming? We have cloud gaming at home. This is where my backups go. This is my data where all my data's pretty much hosted, where all my server, all my data goes for my backups. Netbox is pretty cool, actually. I used it. I like it. It's very good information. Link Warden's good. This is where all my links go. I think you should have your own bookmark. It's like a bookmark manager, to be honest. I use Pulse. Pulse is great. Look at this uptime. I'm so good. My uptime crazy. 28 days. This only happens with power outages, by the way, which I do get. Unify just released another UPS that we're never going to get our hands on, so that's cool. They're like, hey, let's keep making products and not shipping, and they're always out of stock, and I hate you. Peanut is a UPS, so if you have a lot of UPSs and you want to manage them, Peanut is great. It's a nut server. I love it. Weekend.js is for all my documentation. Like, that's where all my documentation goes. If something breaks, I document it. How did I fix it? If something doesn't break and how I set it up, how do I set it up? If I'm having, XYZ, how do I diagnose this, or, whatever. Just tons of stuff. It's always good to have internal documentation. This is where I track all my warranties. This is great. This has saved me. CRXNG, my Joplin server for notes. Glance is just like information board. Like, you can follow like cool stuff. Like, if you want a pretty dashboard with a lot of information, this is great. Paperless NGX, I love it. It's great. Infoskill, it's something with secret management. Archive box, so I can archive stuff like websites. I love it. And then that's my PV3, and that's pretty much all my services that I run. I'm gonna continuously add more and remove ones I'm not using. Oh, I think this is a Kubernetes cluster. That's what it was. Which, that's crazy, putting a 3-node cluster inside a 3-node cluster. And this is, again, in high availability mode, so like if one goes down, now the services will migrate to another PVE that's available, and it makes it also share resources. So instead of me having access to only one node at XYZ, now I have 48 CPUs, 89 gigs of RAM, and then about 11 terabytes of storage. So it takes everything, it pulls together, and then you can also do other things like if you want to get into like Ceph, like you can set up Ceph. Ceph's kind of cool for like the data part of it. But for Ceph, you have to have, you should never do it with 3 nodes. You should do it with 5. You need 10 gig networking. They say you don't, but fuck that. 10 gig networking. 10 gig, I'm just going to say it, 10 gig networking, and like make sure you ain't fucking storage. Storage is like, make sure you have a lot of storage and it's fast. Ceph it looked cool, but I just looked into like the whole process of it and I was like, nah, I don't fucking need this. It's cool. If I get 2 more nodes, I might do it. As like cool, I have a fucking data center in my shit. I did also in my server journey, I bought a ton of Raspberry Pis. I had a Raspberry Pi cluster when they weren't fucking $80 million. Thank you AI. Thank you. Okay. So, after a slew of like Raspberry Pi, like I had a Pi hole at one point, and like I was running what is it? PySync. I mean, you name it. I've had Kubernetes clusters for no reason, for literally no fucking reason. I ran a VIP for some reason. There was like a reason I ran a VIP, which is a virtual like load balancer. That was like when I was really getting into Kubernetes for some reason. I was like, hey, let me get like enterprise level technology in home, and enterprise level headache, essentially what it was. I was like really horny for Kubernetes for some reason. I was like, I need to set up Kubernetes for everything. I need to learn how to get SSL working. If I don't, I'm going to kill myself. And it's kind of funny too, because I don't really have a necessarily need for it. Kubernetes fucking networking is a nightmare too. I mean, so is Docker's, but like it's like a huge headache. I just do Portainer now. Either Portainer or everything's in Proxmox. I even put, like I said, Portainer in Proxmox. So I'm running like virtualized containers in a virtualized environment in this. You know, ideally it's great. And Portainer is great too. They have one-click installs. You don't have to do a lot of configuration yourself. It's not needed. All these Linux nerds that are like, if you're not doing it from the command line, you're gay. And I'm like, okay, let me be gay. I spend 2 minutes changing some configurations and setting it up versus 20 to 30 minutes of doing like all this work. Fuck that. Like, if it's just, that's why I like Docker. And the same thing for the people that are like, oh, I can't run a Monero node. It's a one-click install. There's so many options you have. Obviously, make sure it's trusted source code. Make sure you trust the author that's making this. Make sure there's a level of good historical documentation and trustability. And I'm using heavy quotes with that because you don't want to obviously trust something that has access to your internal network, and you don't want to trust something as insane as like a Monero node. So make sure you keep that in mind, and make sure you know how to like set up your network. Like, is this on my main network? No. Is this on a virtual LAN? Yes. Have I made good VLAN rules for my network? Yeah. Do I expose anything out of the internet anymore? No, because it's annoying. And I mean, I used to host a Mastodon server and a PeerTube server and a slew of other shit, and I would expose it. And I'm like, who cares? Minecraft server, who cares? Attaches to it. And then I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much of a headache. I gotta think too much. Even if it's on a virtual network, like its own VLAN, and it's completely firewalled off, and the only way that PCO communicate with one is a specific one, it's still like, I don't fucking like this because it feels icky and people are stupid. And I'm not a fan of it. So, how would I do it different in the big 2026? All boils down to your goals. I would say oh no, it saved stuff. Uh-oh. If I were to start over and I don't my main objective, find out what your objective is. There we go. Oh no, guys, Cape. It's weird. Oh, that makes sense. I'm done. Now, my objective was to be more private. And I don't like subscriptions. I think self-hosting is awesome. For a period of time, I was hosting on like places like DigitalOcean and like a few other services on more public cloud. But I was like, after a period of time, I was like, this is dumb. I have a server. Why am I in the cloud? Why am I using DigitalOcean? No offense to them, but I mean, it's a cost, and they own the infrastructure. They own the privacy policies. It's their rights. I mean, they can change their policies that you don't agree with. They can change their privacy policies. They can change how they operate their business. They can get acquired and turn into a shittier business. This happens all the time. So what did at the time, what did I not self-host? That was FOSS, you could say. At the time, I didn't self-host my password manager. I used Bitwarden. My email, and I still don't, because self-hosting your email is retarded. It's a waste of time. My email, which at the time I used Proton. And this is actually Proton. I'm going to say this is a double question. Proton, not a double question, but like a double thing. Proton Drive. For email, I did Proton Drive. That was for my photos. And how I found Proton was just, I went down the email rabbit hole. What's a better email option? Once you watch like one or two Mental Outlaw videos, like you're already skits pilled. I didn't do any streaming services like Netflix or anything because I could just pirate. I've always been like, you can just pirate this or buy it. Just buy it. It's okay. Just buy it. Even running it on your phone is still self-hosting. I would say Maps. I still use Gmaps at the time. Google Maps. And there's probably cases where you could be like Google Maps were better. There's not a lot of good FOSS maps. They're getting there, but they're really not. And then music. I was just using Spotify. I'm gonna grab some more water, guys. We'll be right back. Okay. And some of these were FOSS, not FOSS, obviously. Or I looked for Google Maps. The most FOSS you can get with this would be Progressive Web App, which does kind of work. And then this, I was using some weird client that I no longer use because I just buy music like a normal person. Let me think. Because I don't do a lot. My 2FA, I guess I was using Authy. My 2FA keys. I'll say that was FOSS and proprietary. Yeah, because there was some proprietary that I was using at the time too. Authy was yikes of a company. They suck. Don't ever use them. I never really give my opinion on. I generally try not to give my opinion on certain stuff. Like I never like to say don't use this, but they're abysmal. They're a bitch to exit. I don't even think you're allowed to. I don't think you're allowed to export your keys or something. It's like super annoying. They're they suck. I just changed all my 2FAs. I just went through everything under the sun and changed to like a different key and then deleted that shit. I think that's it. I mean, what I've moved to self-hosting in general now would be What self-hosted is now is my password manager, which is KeyPass XD. Still no email, but I use Ente and Image. Google Maps, I just use Co-Maps. It works fine. And then I use Aegis for my 2FA. I just buy music because I'm a normie now. It's going to happen. People are going to love it. They're eventually going to be like, wow, I should have bought my music a long time ago. I got away from Proton, so I use Tutanota. If they come out with a drive, I might use their drive. It's already out, but like it's in super beta, and they haven't given me access to it. I'm like, whatever. Oh, and between that and Authy, Aegis plus hardware keys when I can. Which I think is the better option. You should always use hard keys, even in front of one-time authentication codes. So I would say that I haven't changed a ton besides like the maps and the music. Just buy music, like I said. Movies, I use like for movies and stuff like that. I'm not a huge movie person, but I do use Jellyfin. I've always used Jellyfin. I fucking thought Plex was retarded and that you had to pay for it. No thank you. Fuck you, Plex. I hate you. I would rather hand money to Jellyfin. Please, guys, donate to somebody. Donate to Jellyfin. Make it stay alive. I don't want it to see it go. But that lifetime subscription is fucking crazy. That's crazy. I'm for these companies making money, but that's sick. That's sick. It's a lot of money. And I hate when people are bringing up the argument. They're like, we were supposed to get away from this. I don't mind paying a subscription model to a free and open source app. If that makes your revenue more predictable and you're actually transparent about where it goes, I don't care. And you're actually developing it and you're making a living from your work, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with doing a subscription model out of fucking greed and you just becoming another proprietary pile of shit. I'll gladly give money to the Foss nerds. I love it. I like seeing people make something that I use. If this is my philosophy, if you download a free and open source app and use it more than once a week, donate to them. If you use it more than once a week, if it has become a part of your routine, donate to them. Is the best thing you can do. Even just giving it a star in GitHub or whatever. Do something. I use deep read services for movies and oh yeah, Nuvio. I have used Nuvio. It's cool. It's just I don't care about the streaming part because I can just keep all my music on my phone and on my MP3 player. I've just noticed that like I don't want to have to be connected to some internet connection to listen to music. And this isn't to hate on people that like this out of convenience. I just think no internet connection, no services need to set it up. I just have the music on my MP3 player and on my phone, and as long as they're charged, I'm good. I'm okay with that. I prefer it. I actually like when I travel or anything, I just turn my phone off and put on the longest playlist I can find. Like I try to make playlists and buy music that can equal flights. Because it'll just go by faster. So if it's like a 10-hour flight, I'll do like I'll get like an 11-hour playlist or something. I'll buy enough music for 11 hours, which isn't that hard to do, by the way. It's like 10 songs on repeat. You'd be surprised how cheaply it is to get 11 hours. Like if you can do, if you can buy like what say average album is. This is like my autism kicking in. 11 hours. Okay, so say like 22 minutes times 8. So 60. Well, first I gotta do this. 20, 40, 50, 60. So 3 albums at 20 minutes is an hour. So 3 times. You just need 33 albums. You can get 33 albums isn't that expensive. You can get a lot of albums for a couple bucks. Let's say you can get a 5 times 165 bucks. You can get, if you can get like albums for like $5, you can, for like 200 bucks. You like, that sounds like a lot, but think about how much money you're spending on Spotify. You're spending like $12 a month. 20 if you want the fucking like super hi-fi fucking no ad gay version family plan. That's like in a year. You just paid for Spotify in a year and you have 33 albums. And it's probably longer than 20 minutes. Some can be if you listen to like fucking like sludge super gay doom metal. And they're like 45-minute fucking song. One riff for 45 minutes. You'd be surprised how fast that flight will go. Do it next time. Find a flight. Buy the amount of music that would cover that flight. And just turn your phone off. And you'll actually enjoy the music. You'll have a good time. You'll get to critique it. You'll find songs you hate. You'll find songs you like. You'll do things that you didn't think that you liked doing. Because we're so used to getting just instant gratification. And that's what led me... It's kind of what led me to be more privacy-centric is our attention is money now. Our attention is the money. Us paying attention, us doom scrolling, us sitting on the internet, us watching retards on the internet, aka my audience, but I love them. They bank on your attention. And because of that, you are going to spend money because they're going to serve you ads. And this is where fingerprint comes in, and I went down like a whole fingerprinting thing. And as a non-technical person, when I hear these things, fingerprinting, your phone's listening to you, there's no such thing as privacy. That's enough to stop somebody in their tracks and not give a fuck. This is why I have such a distaste for the community when they just spew this nonsense that Linux is more secure and private. Your phone, don't use Graphene OS because it's a pixel phone. Use Lineage OS on this shit hardware and on something that isn't even maintaining its patches and update security on time. Or use IOTA OS or something like garbage that has bad reputation. And it's been extensively documented that a lot of these alternative OSs do not care either. And if you use Micro G, I mean, that's its own fucking... I mean, you can just explain to someone that Micro G sucks. It's like the Aurora Store. The Aurora Store is a bad idea. Just do the Google Play Store. You know where the source of the applications are coming from. Just make a fake Google account. This whole, like, I'm anonymously logging in and just grabbing random packages is retarded. You're not achieving anything. You're actually reducing your security and your privacy to a certain degree because of how the Aurora Store operates. And even if this information is outdated, you're not getting it from a trusted source. There's no proof that it's from a trusted source. Just like, I mean, the Google Play Store isn't much better, but they have integrity checks that are built in and supposed to protect the user at the end of the day. And you can kind of bet that, like, hey, this, I mean, if you're using, like, most people are like, I want to download apps that I don't need the Google Play Store for, like Instagram and stuff like that or whatever, or stuff that they can't get on like Obtainium and a Crescent and F-Droid. It's like, bro, you're not really achieving anything. You're still, if it requires you to log in, you're breaking that layer of privacy. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But just get an anonymous Google Play Service account and just move on. And just use the apps that you don't want correlated with the Google Play Service account, the Google Play Service account that you're using. You can just get a progressive web app. It's really not that deep. But their fingerprinting is so good, it's like they kind of know, like, all right, these two people are probably the same. And it's not going to ever get fixed until everyone's browsing habits look the same. So once you peel the layers back and you step back, you can actually make it super easy to understand for non-technical users to obtain good base level knowledge, and not good base level knowledge that will actually help them. Instead of your phone's microphone's listening to you, use Lineage OS. You obtain it by doing small steps. Get a Raspberry Pi. At this point, just get a mini PC. Get a mini PC. Install Proxmox on it. Install Ubuntu Server. Spin up image. That's it. 3 steps. Do that. Now you take all your photos and you put there. And now you don't have to pay. You bought, say, something with like a terabyte. If this is all you do, this is great. Start with the one thing that you want to get away from. If you want to get away from Google Photos, image. It's great. I love it. It's a great product. I've used it for a long time, and I think it's the best alternative to actually getting away from Google Photos. Then you download all your Google Photos. You can then close out that account if you want and move all of your important photos there. And then, if you want to use Entei is good. Entei's got Locker. That's where you can put all your documents. You can self-host both of them. That is the next step, is find something else that you don't want to be accessed on the internet 24/7, like your calendar. You want your calendar and your contacts to sync. There's ways to do that. I used Edisync for a very long time. It's an encrypted syncing format for contacts and calendars. Your notes. I use, for a while, I used Obsidian. But now it is proprietary, I think. Their syncing is proprietary. I just use Logsec and Joplin. And you can self-host Joplin. Joplin is super awesome. You can self-host the server for the syncing and everything. So all my notes sync without me having to constantly I don't have to log into a bunch of accounts. It's great. It's great to have it sync. I have all my notes synced across all my devices. Same note, same place. Done. And it's local. Damn, I need to get this water. The cough is still there. So I would say find services that you want to set up. I would start with you want to replace and you can maintain. Can that spell? Nope. So, this is something you need to keep in mind. You need to keep backups. Untested backups. are not backups. Just, you need good account security. Password management. Like, you can able to manage the passwords for this account. What if something breaks? When was the last time I took a snapshot? When did I back this up? Is there an update? Is this update going to break it? Stuff like that you have to think about all the time. So you don't want to spin up 30 services when you first start. You want to start with one, maybe two, and manage them for like 6 months. And just keep adding. After that, you can add and redact. Like, just manage two really important services to you. And you're going to notice, oh, this is all I need. Or, I want more. I can do more. Because you're going to eventually hit your, I would say your bottleneck. You're like, oh, man, dude, I cannot manage 45 services. 400 microservices versus one major service. So it's so much easier to manage some of them because some of them don't require as much maintenance. So I figured out which ones do require maintenance, which ones, if they were to fail tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset. And then which ones need the most love and care and backup consistency, which is generally my password manager, my 2FA keys, and pretty much my secrets and my notes. Those are like the babies. So like, find out what your babies are, take care of them. The rest, maintain them, updates, backups. But like, if you lost them, whatever kind of thing. That's what you need to think about. That's why I say start with 2. After 2, go to whatever number that you stick at 2 if you want to. That's fine. I just think 2 is good because it's managing 2 services that you want to get away from Google. And I mean that in like a light term, like de-Google. Like you want to get away from the big tech, which is fine. After that, once you like do that and you manage your backups and everything, then you just not only keep adding to it. Another good thing I learned is documentation. Document the shit out of your entire experience. Do it on GitHub, do it on your notes, do it in paper, pen and paper, whatever. Document your whole entire experience. Like setting up Proxmox, setting up the server. How did I set this up in Docker? Did I do it in bare metal? What's the stuff like that where because if you run into an issue, you don't have to fucking bash your head against the wall to think about it again. And that's how kind of I look at it. Like, documentation has saved me. I'm like, how did I set up this server and why did it crash? And then I look through the logs and I'm like, oh, okay. And then did I do a backup? Documentation is great because you could be like, last time, set up image, backed up all my photos. You leave notes with that. Backed up all my photos. It's at this IP address. It's the admin account. Here's the admin password. Here's the 2FA key. Does it have 2FA keys or not, etc., etc. And then you don't have to guess all the time. Document your shit like it's a real job. It's the meme of sysadmin at home. Perspective. And what I think I would do different in the big 2026 is I would go with Intel NUCs, mini PCs, because Pis are just getting way too expensive, and they're not getting much more functionality. I think they're great from a small portable convenience factor, but you can get a fucking beefy ass 3-node cluster for a fraction of the cost, and you'll get some decent specs versus I upgraded the RAM and shit myself. Before RAM was $500 a gig or something. I would say also it's good to know when to ask for help. Know when to ask for help. Because just because you're doing your self-hosting, you're doing this on your own, doesn't mean that you can't ask for help. It's fine. And then once you get that help, document it. And it goes back to documentation. I would say doc everything. I would say one of your best things you can have is a wiki.js. That should be one of your two that you should pick. I mean, pick more than two, but like wiki.js should be on that list of things to have. It saved me. Because I ran into an issue. I'm like, oh, I ran into this before. Let me go back into my notes and like, I know exactly what this is. And then you fix it and you're like, oh, great. And then back up and do snapshots. I'm trying to think of also what else. I'm not sure. There was something else I was thinking of. That, oh, besides start with a NUC and like stuff like that, if you haven't installed Linux, just do it at this point. Just install in a virtual machine. Learn how running a server can teach you a lot about Linux in a sense, and it makes you read a lot. And you set up more stuff like set up a Linux server and then go set up like a fucking like SQL database or Postgres or whatever, and like set up like your own Active Directory and LDAP service and stuff like that. Just do that stuff because it makes it it's more interesting when you do it and then apply it. It feels great when shit works. That's my real advice. I would say just look for false alternatives. Start self-hosting because it's the best thing you can do. And if I were to do anything different, I would definitely, the biggest difference I would make is I would probably spend more time learning how to be more efficient than like certain things that didn't matter. You know, efficiency goes a long way, and I feel like it prevents burnout. Good to step away from the computer and touch grasses, I would say. But what's also good is the amount of marijuana that I smoked. Big EPs. And I appreciate everyone coming by. Remember to hype the video so that the algorithm knows that I'm super cool and based. And I'll be back with more cool stuff from the internet as I learn. I have to go fight Jack White with Jack Black in a 3-way. I'll see you guys in